Happy Tuesday again. Let's see. It is Tuesday, April the 23rd, the 113th day of the year. There are 253 days left in the year 2024. And welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Thom. Well, it was a good weekend. I did one of my famous turnaround trips, left home on Friday morning, drove the 200 miles to Auburn, Alabama, attended meetings I needed to attended the next morning's meetings, and then drove back home. Something I seem to have done regularly in my adult business life, and I have to admit it's starting to wear on me. But in this case, as in most cases, it was very well worth it. I attended the Melton Scholars Semi-Annual Meeting at Auburn University, where I serve on the advisory board. We've had several of the Melton Scholars on the show, along with their founder, Michael Waller. After our breakfast meeting on Saturday morning, I visited the Alumni Center where the Black alumni meetings were being held. I felt I needed to go because one of my fellow alums who was at Auburn at the same time in its early and dark days of integration as I was, George Smith, was on a panel of graduates. George requested that I come. You see, we were true pioneers of Auburn integration and shared some special times together. This weekend, it was a special time on the plains. No sports, no football, no basketball. The weekend was about what counts in life, education, and the formation of character among the young freshmen and the wisdom of those who paved the way for them. I enjoyed those moments. Our G-List guest today is Jaunelle White. Ms. White is making waves as the Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics at Point University, breaking barriers as their first female athletic director. Don't miss out on this inspiring conversation. I look forward to that discussion. Our show today, of course, is sponsored by the Best Girl Consulting Firm. So let's hear from Best Girl.
Best Girl is a consulting firm that provides customized leadership, access and inclusion, public relations, communications, and organizational consulting services. Clients include Fortune 500 companies, utilities, higher education institutions, small businesses, and associations. Best Girl's team of consultants, led by Joyce Gilly-Gossam, Emily Hedrick, and Sean Jones, partners with business and education clients to promote organizational effectiveness, communication, motivation, and leadership, with always an impact on the bottom line. Best Girl's customized consulting services include strategic planning, corporate communication, executive coaching, fundraising, and economic development.
Best Girl customizes the solution that fits your needs. So let's get to our roundtable regulars, Barbara Wallace Edwards and Michael Walker. Good morning, Barbara Wallace Edwards. How are you?
Good morning, Thom. I'm doing well, just in recovery mode from a busy weekend, but I'm doing great. Thank you. How are you?
About your weekend.
Well, Thom, it was Black Alumni Weekend on Auburn University's campus, and I just have to give kudos to the Black Alumni Council at Auburn University for the wonderful job they did in planning a full weekend of events. They actually started on Thursday evening with a donning of the kente cloth ceremony, where they presented kente cloth drapes for all of the graduates that were graduating this year, 2024 graduates. And that was a very moving experience. The whole program was just wonderful. They had a speaker that talked about the importance of, education and giving back once you graduate and coming back and staying involved, and then to see all of them walk across there to receive their kente cloth and how proud they were of that was a wonderful experience.
Where was it on campus?
That was held at the Alumni Center.
Okay.
On Thursday evening.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And then, oh no, that's fine. And then on Friday, each of the schools and colleges on campus welcomed the graduates from their individual schools and colleges back to their departments to have a luncheon with the dean and other representatives from the different schools and colleges, and to hear what all was going on with them, their focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and how they plan to continue to do that, even with some changes that may be coming in the legislature. So that was wonderful. And then followed up by a welcome reception on Friday evening back at the Alumni Association. And then Saturday morning, I participated along with George Smith and Judge Patricia Stevens and Dr. Karen Anderson on a panel of alumni. It was alumni success panel, which was also wonderful. We got a chance to tell our stories and about our experiences at Auburn and how it shaped our lives. And Reggie Torbor was our keynote speaker for the morning. Those that don't know, Reggie is a former star athlete at Auburn, played football, went on to the NFL, his team won the Super Bowl. So very successful in life. He's now president of Pylon Building Group, and hopefully we'll have him on our show as a guest soon. We're looking at some dates right now for him to come on and join us here on Tuesdays with Thom. So after that, a day party hosted by the Office of Inclusion and Diversity. We had a chance to interact with a lot of students on campus. Chef Justin Robinson, better known as Chef J-Rob, catered that event. It was absolutely wonderful as well. And then Saturday night, the sneaker ball and award ceremony. The president, the provost, and the deans from all the schools and colleges, many of the associates from the university were there. There were probably over 400 people in attendance on Saturday evening for that event.
Everybody wore sneakers?
I'm sorry?
I said, did everybody wear sneakers?
Everyone wore sneakers. Yes, they were dressed to the nines. It was a formal, semi-formal event, but people dressed in their sneakers, and it was so much fun. We even had a special guest that no one was expecting. The young man who participated on The Voice, who competed on The Voice, Asher from Selma, Alabama, was our surprise entertainment for the evening. And he did a phenomenal job as well. So I can't say enough about it. On Sunday morning, we had our farewell brunch at a local restaurant there in Auburn, and had some additional dynamic speakers. Our own Chief Nathaniel Rutledge, who's our Santa Claus, actually brought the morning message on Sunday, did a great job. And then there was the gospel choir concert on Sunday evening, and the Black Girls Rock Gala was Sunday evening. It was a truly probably 2 weeks worth of activities crammed into a full weekend, but it was so much fun.
Good deal. Now,
Yes.
I think you were instrumental in helping to kick off this Black Alumni Weekend. Is that right?
Absolutely, Thom. After I retired from Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Alabama, I was talking to Debbie Shaw, who was then the vice president of Alumni Affairs, and telling her, we really need to do something to bring Black alums back to Auburn. She was saying they couldn't get alums to come back in really nice numbers. They couldn't get them to give money to the university. And I thought, well, you're not doing anything to entice them to come back. So she challenged me to help with that. So after I retired from Blue Cross, I actually went to work for the university, and I was the one to propose Black Alumni Weekend, and had to do a big presentation to the Alumni Association staff and the officers, and finally got approval, actually through OID. It was approved through Office of Inclusion and Diversity first, and then Alumni Affairs decided they would jump on the bandwagon as well. And so in 2014, so it's actually been 10 years since we had our very first one.
Well, good deal. That's great. You sound like you're still excited about it. I was so happy and excited to see the vision that I had over 10 years ago come to fruition now, and how it's grown. And again, the Black Alumni Council has taken it to a whole new level. They have 20 members on their council, and the fact that they have that many people working on it, and getting involved and bringing other alums back, I can see it to continue to grow in the future. I think it will only get bigger and better. Yeah, it was interesting. I was there for a little while, and I think on that panel there were two of you from the 70s.
Yes. And actually 3 of us that started in the 70s. Judge Stevens also started, I think, in the late 70s as well. She didn't finish her degree until later on, but so yes, and she's a local from Auburn, so she's pretty much familiar with how things were in the 70s.
Okay, all righty. Well, let's get Michael on and see what Michael, how you doing?
Doing well. Good morning, TG. Good morning, Barbara. Hope you both are doing well today.
So what's happening in your world, Michael?
I don't know. I'm just tired from listening to Barbara. No wonder she's moving kind of slow this morning, like Uncle Joe. I'd
Yes,
be tired
sir.
too if I went through all of that.
Yes,
it was a great weekend. It really was.
it was.
Yes.
You had
Congratulations, Barbara, on your idea too, to bring that to fruition and see where it is.
Thank you,
Good
sir.
job. Yeah.
you had the alumni, and then you had the new Melton scholars, as freshmen.
Yes.
So it was quite an weekend.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Let me ask you guys a question. If I said the name Breonna Stewart, Ella Del Don, Sabrina Ionesco, and Caitlin Clark, what would you say they all have in common? Other than
Play basketball?
WNBA. Yeah. Okay. Basketball. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, Caitlin Clark is the latest to join that group. She's signing an 8-year, $28 million contract with Nike for her own shoe.
Wow.
It was very interesting. There was a gentleman that did an article yesterday for the USA. His name is Andrew Holleran. And his article says that the shoe companies are ignoring Black WNBA players. And he talked about these people right here. And he says Asia Wilson, who's a star forward for Las Vegas Aces, also played at South Carolina. So let's see. I think she won, one, if not two championships at South Carolina. And she's won 2 back-to-back WNBA titles. And she doesn't have a shoe contract at all. So they're saying, he is saying, where's the equality in it? And he says, I'm not saying that Caitlin Clark does not deserve to have one, but you're ignoring the best player in the league at this moment.
Exactly.
So it's interesting how this kind of just continues, and he makes a point there. Caitlin's brand new coming in, but she really hasn't proven herself. Not that she will not, but you have Asia, a 2-time WNBA champion, back-to-back, and I think an MVP.
And I'm not familiar with the other ladies' names you mentioned, Michael. Are they women of color?
No.
Interesting.
No. Breonna Stewart played at UConn. She's won a couple WNBA championships, and I think she was an MVP. Ella Don was a highly decorated player out of the University of Delaware. And Sabrina Ionesco, she's been on several commercials with none other than Chris Paul and what have you. So they've all been featured quite a bit. And now Caitlin Clark gets a signature for a shoe before she even plays a game.
Yeah, something's on that picture.
Yeah. I mean, not everybody gets a shoe. There's no fairness in that. It's who the company decides they want to represent them. So,
yeah.
That's where
I looked at that too. I thought about that. And, I hadn't really even considered it until I read this article and the stuff that he laid out. So, but you're right. I guess that's what they call a capitalistic society.
But when you look at who buys the most shoes, I think it's normally the Black community. I think that spends more money on Nikes most of the time. I would think, but hey, that's interesting.
And I'm going to be the devil's advocate and say, don't buy them.
I agree. I would agree with you totally. I don't buy them personally, but those that do, I would stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to sometimes make them want to.
Is catching up with men's, and we'll see where it goes.
Right.
It's an easy solution. Just don't buy it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, that's why Donald Trump did his tennis shoes. He did all those tennis shoes, and sold them and what have you. And so there was some talk about who he was marketing to as well. But you both make good points there.
Okay. Well, you got anything else, Michael?
Yeah, I do. We've talked on this program a couple times about being careful about your home and your deeds and stuff, there's now programs out there to help you protect your deeds. And there's a 85-year-old gentleman here in Atlanta, Georgia, who's lived in his home for 50 years. And a person signed several forged deeds, and he is losing his home and is physically challenged. And basically, they signed 3 deeds in 1 year. What's ironic about it is the deed was his forged signature, and they were notarized. And when you go to get something notarized, you have to present your driver's license and prove who you are.
Right.
And they're trying to figure out how was this person able to get these deeds notarized with the wrong name on it. And he has found out it was his stepson from his first marriage that has forged these deeds. And all 3 of them were filed in the same year.
Wow.
And now he's trying to get an attorney to help him wade through the situation. But the current law in Georgia, it may be in other states, there's no identification required to file property paperwork in the clerk's office, meaning a person doesn't have to prove they own the property in order to file documentation in Georgia.
Wow.
So it continues.
How do you fix that, Michael? I mean, does the laws need to be changed?
Yes. It's going to take the law to change that. The legislature is going to have to look at this and figure out that. And it's like a big scam. They're here in Georgia, it's really taken off in Atlanta. So many people, and they all seem to be elderly people that, are in their last years and no income. And a lot of them are not internet savvy, or not able to articulate and express themselves when it's coming to something like this, or even know where to go. And they're the ones that are being taken advantage of.
Wow. That is sad.
Barbara, you got anything else?
Well, Thom, I have some things that are really not good news, but with Mother's Day coming up, I've been searching and looking for stories on Mother's Day about really good mothers, but I've actually found some about 2 terrible mothers that really struck me. There's a mother in Ohio who went on vacation for 10 days and left her 16-month-old child in the home alone, just because she decided she couldn't find a babysitter. She'd already paid for the trip, but she decided she was going to go. So the judge called that an ultimate act of betrayal, and the baby actually died as a result of the mother leaving her alone. It's a really sad story, and I thought, well, that's really sad. And just recently, there was a mother in Michigan who did a similar thing with a 6 and 8-year-old. She decided she was going to go on a 7-day cruise, and she said she paid her cousin to keep her kids, and at the last minute, the cousin decided she couldn't do it, and she thought, well, she left enough food in the house for the kids to eat. So my 6 and 8-year-old, she just left them there, told them to lock the door. She had a security camera, and she was going to communicate with them via the camera to make sure they were staying in the house and safe. But she left those 2 kids alone. And of course, neighbors noticed it and noticed that they saw her leaving the house with suitcases in the middle of the day one day, and days had gone by and she hadn't returned. And of course, they called the police, and police went in. They said the house was in total disarray. The children were saying that even though there was food there, they didn't know how to prepare it. So they were hungry. There was, they said the place smelled awful because the kids didn't know how to clean up behind themselves. And people like that don't deserve children. And it's sad situation.
Where was that?
One was in Michigan and one was in Ohio.
Barbara, let me ask you a question about that.
Mm-hmm.
What are the ages of these 2 mothers?
They both were in their 30s.
Old enough to know better.
Absolutely old enough to know better. The mother that left the 16-month-old child, she was actually posting pictures of herself on the beach, posing in her bikini. Like how can you do that? How can you leave a baby alone by themselves and you go on a 10-day vacation?
Wow. That's pretty sad.
It is sad.
What are they going to do to her? Is she under
They both have been arrested, and of course they will be serving some time. So it's going to be interesting to see how much time, but I would hope quite a bit, because that's something that's just totally uncalled for.
Did the 6 and 8 year old die, or they survived?
They survived, but they took them from the mother and asked her, they've been placed in the care of another relative. But yeah, the mother can't even see them right now.
Well, she shouldn't. She
Yeah,
should
I
be
agree.
committed, to be honest with you.
Absolutely. And
She
not
needs
only are
some
they,
matching
you know,
treatment.
that's
They both do.
they have to be crazy. There's some mental illness there, because I don't see how anyone can just leave a child, just totally abandon them and know that they're not capable of taking care of themselves.
That's incredible.
What is this world coming to?
I'm thinking about this friend of mine who he sold cars, and he had several cars at his home, a couple of them for sale. He was driving home one day, and he passed one of his cars going the other way. It was his 12-year-old son was driving it, and waved at him.
Oh my goodness!
Turned around and came back. That one was funny because nothing bad happened.
Right.
The kid was okay. The car was fine. It was just, my friend said, and he had the nerve to wave at
That takes a lot of nerve.
So the kid just stopped and went back home when he saw his dad, or what?
Yeah, he turned around and went back.
That's hilarious.
Dave, we called him Dave and Little Dave.
So Little Dave decided he needed to go somewhere. His dad wasn't getting there fast enough.
That is too funny.
And figured it out. So anyway, anybody got anything else?
Well, I just tell you, piggybacking off of that, that reminded me of the story of down in Tuskegee. You guys are familiar with Tuskegee. There was a dwarf, that's the political way to say it, rather than saying midget, that had committed a crime, and he was trying to get away. And he jumped in his car and started driving. He was standing up driving away from the police in the car. And he had some pedals to operate the gas and brakes.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Oh, man. All right. Well, we're going to move on to Sean. Sean's got a minute for us. Sean, you there?
Good morning to everyone joining in with us. My name is Shantia Jones, and this is Got a Minute. Do you like musicals? Have you ever seen or heard of Chicago, Hamilton, The Phantom of the Opera, or maybe even Hairspray? No? Well, today in 1968, a year marked with social and cultural upheaval, Hairspray, a controversial musical, newly arrived on Broadway. Despite mediocre reviews, Hairspray was a big enough hit with audiences during its 6-week run at the public to win financial backing for a proposed move to Broadway. While this kind of move would later become more common, it was exceedingly rare for a musical at the time, and it was particularly bold move for a musical for a non-traditional score. Hairspray, after all, was the first rock musical to make a play of mainstream success on the Great White Way. But the novelty of the show didn't stop with its music or references to physical relations and illegal extracurricular activities. Hairspray also featured a much talked about scene at the end of the first act in which the cast appeared to be completely undressed on the dimly lit stage. Thank you all for joining in. My name is Shantia Jones, and this has Got a Minute.
Good job, Sean. Thank you. Appreciate it. So let's go to our G list guest. Hollywood has the A list, and here on Tuesdays with Thom, we have the G list. And our G list guest today is Jaunelle White, and hopefully I pronounced her name correctly. Jaunelle White is entering her third academic year at Point University as the institution's Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics. White is the university's third athletic director and the first female athletic director. She is a native of Lawrence, Kansas, played collegiate volleyball at Auburn University from 96 to 2002, holds a master's degree in education and a bachelor's degree in business administration. So let's welcome Jaunelle White. Good morning.
Good morning. How is everybody?
We're doing fine. Am I pronouncing Jaunelle? Is it Jaunelle?
It's Jaunelle. I fuss at my mom all the time about throwing that U in there. You know, we have to be different sometimes. So, but it's pronounced Jaunelle.
Okay. I got it. All righty. So how are you this morning?
I am doing well. It's a little chilly. You know, I'm not sure what God has going on up there, but I'm doing well. It's a beautiful day. It's spring, and I'm just happy to be here and definitely be a part of this and be a G list girl. I like it.
So, what's happening on campus today?
Well, we're a little busy. I'm actually in the middle of a head men's basketball coach search. So I have some candidates on campus this week. So we've got one coming in today. Actually just had to lean on a colleague to make sure that the gentleman gets around like he's supposed to. And I'll meet up with him when I finish visiting with you all today. But we've got that going on. Of course, it's almost finals time, as it is on many campuses, and getting ready for graduation and really just kind of wrapping up the year. I've still got some sports in season. I'll be leaving tonight to head out to our men's golf championship, and we'll swing through, support them, and head to tennis next. So always on the go, always on the run between work and my kids. From a personal life, I'm always moving and going, but it's exciting.
So when the prospective basketball coaches show up, who I assume this is men's basketball, right? So what's their reaction when they meet the athletic director?
You know, you get different ones. Of course, the people that we have, they're seasoned. And so they've done their homework and they know what to say and what, you know, they know where I went to school and they know that I was, you know, an athlete and I've been in the profession for about 20 plus years. So some of them don't realize how tall I am. I think that catches them off guard. I don't wear heels as much as I used to, but it's usually good. You know, many of them probably have not ever worked for a female athletic director. So that's something different. So I'm sure they're doing their homework on the back end.
How tall are you?
I'm 6'1". But when I have heels on, you know, I go up about 2 inches. So.
Okay, well, let's go. Barbara, you got a question?
Yes. Good morning, Sarah. How are you doing this morning?
I am doing well. Good morning.
So glad to have you with us. I want to ask you about you play volleyball in I think high school and college, right? When did it start? When did you get interested in sports, and how did you become interested in sports?
Yeah, well, the first sport that I played actually was basketball. I started it when I was probably kindergarten, first grade. So I had played basketball literally all my life. I didn't pick up volleyball until the 7th grade. Okay. And that's not uncommon. Usually around that time, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grades, kids start to pick up volleyball. And my mother actually played at Tuskegee. And so I had been around it all my life because she would play in women's leagues or co-ed leagues, and she always reffed or officiated volleyball. So even though I wasn't playing when I was young, I was around it. And, you know, it was successful for me. I played basketball, did volleyball, and I ran track. My father was a track and field coach. So I literally tell people that I was born into Division I athletics. That's just, yes. You know, it was almost destined, I think,
right,
to be an athlete. And what's funny is I didn't think about working in the profession, but that's where I am, and it's been great. But that's how I picked up volleyball and just kind of grew to love it. I think I was fortunate enough to have to choose between basketball and volleyball and going to college. Everyone doesn't have that, so I am very honored and humbled and blessed to have that option. But I knew I had a little bit more to give. I believe in volleyball. I had more to learn. I was the position that I played as middle blocker. at Auburn. Well, I didn't play that in high school. We did a little specialized offense, and it didn't really have a middle blocker. So I had a lot to learn. So I redshirted my freshman year in '96, and then was able to play '97 to 2000.
Wow, that's great, and was very good at it, I might add.
Well, thank you.
Is that Michael?
Well, good morning, and thanks for being with us today.
Good morning.
I'd like to ask you a couple things. First of all, is Point University considered D1 or?
So we're an NAIA institution.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're in the NAIA. So not in the NCAA. D1, D2, that language is more NCAA, but we're NAIA, small private Christian institution.
Okay. All right. And I understand that you've introduced a new sport to your program, flag football for women.
That's correct. Yes. And this was our inaugural season, and we did very well. We did very well. We got some wins under our belt, which is what we needed. Unfortunately, we had to end the season a little bit earlier than we had hoped because of injuries and things, but we were so excited. The ladies did a phenomenal job. The university community rallied around. So we're excited for what's to come. But yes, it's been a great year, and flag football is on the rise. It's an emerging sport, and we're hoping that more high schools and more colleges pick it up.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed that a lot of your players are two-way players.
That's right.
Yes.
Where, back in the day, that's what the best athletes were. They were two-way. They could play both offense and defense. And I was looking over your roster, and I saw a lot of them were two-way players and stuff.
Yes, they do. They're two-way, and we had some dual sport athletes. So we had some basketball players, we had some soccer players, we had some volleyball players playing flag too. So when my head coach really didn't have a lot of time to recruit, he did recruit some young ladies to come. But this season, I think it's going to be even better for him because he's got a year under his belt. He's got a little more time to recruit and build and see what we need. So you may not see as much two-way, but you probably will still see a little bit of it going into the next season.
Okay. Well, congratulations on that. Much success.
Thank you.
And I want to ask you, Jaunelle, how did you get into administration? I know you were an athlete, very successful athlete, but how did you move into administration role?
Yeah, so I actually have two names that actually three that you all may be familiar with, but Stacey Danley, Mark Richard, and the late Virgil Starks were the three gentlemen that tapped on my door and said, "Hey, Jaunelle, we have a position here as a graduate assistant in compliance. Would you be interested in it?" And I was thinking, well, I am in grad school because I played my 5th year of eligibility. I was in grad school. I had graduated with my undergrad already. And I knew I wanted to finish school. And I'll be honest, I wanted to finish for free. So
Smart.
Right. So when I said, well, I hadn't really thought about working in administration, with my business degree, I thought I would work for some Fortune 300, 400, 500 company. I was kind of on that mindset. But I said, well, I guess we'll give athletics a try. And again, because you're going to help me finish grad school, we'll do it. And really ended up loving it, honestly. I'm an analytical thinker. So compliance, I've had some people tell me I probably should have gone to law school, which maybe, but I didn't want to do all that reading. But the way compliance is, the way the NCAA manual was, and how it reads, like that's kind of who I am and what I really get into. I like trying to figure things out. And helping student athletes, of course, anyway, and coaches any way that I can. And so they tugged on me a little bit and said, hey, we see something in you, then we think that this would be the profession for you. And lo and behold, they were right. So I thank those three men for seeing something in me that I may or may not have seen in myself, but giving me the opportunity at least to get my foot in the door.
That's great. So your career started there at Auburn, and where did you go from there?
Yeah, I've been so many places. Let's hope I get it right. So started at Auburn first as a graduate assistant. First full-time job was at LSU. And I actually told some ladies a story. I said, y'all, I could not wear purple and gold for the longest time. Coming from Auburn, I would work the football games. We'd have to do the comp ticket list. I would get there early. I would do my job, and I would get off campus. I would leave. I'd wear a white shirt. I was like, I can't wear purple and gold on. So I grew, I matured and I grew, worked there for 3 years, ended up leaving LSU, and I went to Middle Tennessee State. I was there for just about a year and a half, ended up getting married and basically had a honeymoon baby. So I got out of the business for a little bit because that was kind of a shock. We were we were like, wait, what's happening? This is all moving too fast.
Right.
I went to work at State Farm for a little bit. Did that and realized that, you know what, athletics is my niche. Let me get back in. And just been keeping those connections for a while. So when I left State Farm, I went to South Alabama. My late husband was from Theodore, Alabama, the Mobile area.
Right.
And so he had gotten a job at a high school there, and it worked out that actually the gentleman who ended up hiring me became the intern at Auburn when I left in compliance.
Wow.
And so he was like, Jaunelle, would love to have you. I actually just created a position. And I think you would be perfect. He's like, you're probably overqualified for it. But at the time I said, well, I'm getting back in. So I appreciate the opportunity. Was there for about 9 months. The gentleman that I had worked with at Middle Tennessee State called me and asked me to go with him to Texas Southern. So Texas Southern was my first HBCU to work at. And we moved to Houston, was there for 3 years, left Texas Southern, went to Alabama State. So came back to Alabama. I was there with Melvin Hines, which I'm sure you all know him,
Yes.
Auburn alum as well. Did 3 years. You're going to hear my magic number is 3 for whatever reason. Did 3 years at Alabama State and actually got out of the business because at the time my husband got an opportunity. He was a football coach. So, two of us in the same profession was hard. There were times that we were apart for many years of our marriage because he would have an opportunity in one state and I would be in another state. But had our fourth child, I have 4 kids. And so went with him. We moved to Ohio. He was at Bowling Green. We were there about 2 years, kind of saw the writing on the wall when it comes to coaching. Me being an administrator, I was seeing some behind the scene things that maybe coaches don't always think about. And I said, I don't know how much longer this is going to last. So I might need to get back to work.
Right.
Made some phone calls, and yet again, here's another Auburn connection, was able to get on at IUPUI, where Dr. Roderick Perry was the AD, who was also an Auburn alum. He's from the Auburn area, and ended up going and working with him. And that was great. And then from there came to Point. We decided that we wanted to get closer to family. Both of my parents are from Birmingham. They had moved back about 14, 15 years ago. And again, mentioning before that, my husband was from Theodore, Alabama. So it was a personal and professional move is what I tell people. God made a way. Of course, I didn't know what was going to happen because I did end up losing my husband unexpectedly in 2022. But I was in the right place. And this institution, this community really wrapped their arms around me and my family and my kids. And it's been a blessing. And I thank God for it every single day. It's been tough, but he knew where we needed to be and the people that needed to be around us for us to get through it. So that's all the schools and all the places that I've worked.
Oh, thank you.
So you're named as one of Sports Illustrated's top 100 Black women in sports. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that was humbling. Definitely an honor, and to share that space with so many phenomenal women. That was probably one of my favorite interviews that I got to do, and really talking about the alignment with Point. My faith is very important to me, and I thank God for everything that I have, and what the abilities that I possess is nothing but from Him. And so the alignment of Point, and talking to the president, who is an Auburn alum as well. Hint, Auburn connection.
Right.
When we say it really is a family, I promise
Yes.
you, it is definitely a family. But in talking to him and seeing his mission and hearing his mission and his vision, definitely a place that does put God first, and everything that we do in love. And that's what I can appreciate. We wrap our arms around these students. Yes, we don't have all the fancy facilities. We're not in Auburn, but we have a lot of love, the same kind of love that Auburn would have for its students and its staff and faculty. And so it's a special place. It's been great, but to be able to talk about that and be recognized for, some of my achievements and things that I had done to get here was really a blessing.
Right.
Well, Jaunelle, first of all, let me just say condolences to you and your family on the loss of your husband and father. Very sorry about that. I'd like to ask you, how does NIL play into your school? And do you have what they call the collective and all of this stuff? Expound on that and tell us how it impacts you at your division.
Yeah, so that's really a great question because we're getting ready to step into the NIL space. My athletic coordinator has been working with some entities and companies. Now, we're not big enough to have a collective, so we won't have a collective here. Don't think that's necessary at this time. But we're going to give our student athletes the opportunity to do some little things here and there to get involved in the NIL space. I think it's a great thing if done correctly. And I think we're small enough and have the right, you could say maybe type of athlete, or we have the ability to wrap our arms around them, make sure that they're guided appropriately, and know what they're doing, and that we can help hold them accountable for the things that they're going to have to do in order to earn and grow and really get their names out there. So we're stepping into that space probably now, probably the next couple of weeks. We're going to make an announcement to our student athletes and let them know the options that they have before them. And then we'll work over the summer to get with some other companies to just kind of help us grow it. But it's almost necessary these days to have some kind of NIL opportunity to entice these young people to come to your school. But we're looking forward to it. We're excited about it. Like I said, I think it's a great thing if done correctly. And I'm excited for our students to be able to I guess monetize and get out there in the space and show people who they are.
Okay. Well, just as a follow-up question to that, are you guys involved in a transfer portal? Do you have one at that level? Or
No,
anything
we don't
like
have
that?
the portal, but I can assure you all of my coaches know about the portal and have friends and contacts that have access to the portal to get the names of the individuals that are in the portal. So while the NAIA does not have its own portal, we do tap into it quite a bit. And like I said, the coaches are smart and they utilize their resources to know who's out there and who's available to get them to come to our level.
Okay. Oh, well, good for you guys. Yeah, this is a situation where maybe instead of the rich getting richer from the portal, some of the smaller schools will get bigger by being able to get that top talent out of the portal.
That is it, and that's what's happening across the nation. I had because we're in middle of a search for our head men's basketball coach. I did have a coach call who was concerned about one of his players, whether or not he should come here. And I said, it's getting harder and harder for high school kids because of the portal. And I said, like they say, one in the hand is worth two in the bush, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. And so I said, we're going to do the absolute best that we can. If he signs that agreement with us, we're going to honor it. And he will be here. We will love on him and he will grow. But, I'm not telling you what to do or what not to do, but you got to think about the portal and who's out there and who's taking up those scholarships and those spaces that someone else, may have been able to do beforehand. It's completely changed the landscape of college athletics.
You mentioned Stacy Danley. Stacy and I were real close at one point. Where is he? Do you know where he is now?
I do not know where Stacy is right now. I don't want to tell a story because I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
I did ask Melvin. I think he had talked to him. The last time I talked to Melvin, he had not talked to him that long ago, and he was doing well. He and his family are doing well, but I'm not exactly sure where they're living right now.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Mm-hmm.
We had some good times. Okay, anybody else got a question? Barbara, you
Yes, I do. I do, Jaunelle. Your parents are both, of course, athletes and competed, and you, of course, were successful in athleting. So is your husband, Marcus. What about your children? You have 4 children. Tell us about them. Are they athletic at all? Have they decided to get involved in sports?
Yes. So I have 3 girls and a boy. Son is the youngest. My oldest is a junior in high school. My second daughter, she's a 6th grader. My third daughter is a 4th grader, and then my son is in 2nd grade. And so the oldest 2, Micaiah and Jalen, are the athletes. The younger 2 want no parts of it. they get so tired of being in the gym with their sisters, and so I have to try to find other things for them to do. My third daughter, she is my creative child, so she loves to draw. She's in music. She takes piano lessons. And so we've kind of found her niche. My son is actually autistic. He's high functioning. He has autism, and it's Autism Awareness Month.
Right.
But
Yes.
we're trying to figure out anything electronic right now. You put a tablet or a phone in his hand and he's happy.
She's happy. Yes.
He's happy. But he'll say, well, I'm gonna go watch my sisters for a little bit, and he'll watch and then he'll be like, Mom, I'm ready to go. Definitely trying to keep the younger two happy, and has been somewhat of a struggle. But
Right.
I have good friends and family members that will take them and do something with them while I'm in the gym pretty much all day, every day. I just got the shirt. Some of you may have seen it. It says, I can't, my kid has practice. And
Right.
that is my life. If I'm not watching a practice for my job or supporting an event or a competition, for what I do on a daily basis, I'm doing it for one of my kids. So they keep me busy. I'm always running. People are like, Jaunelle, where are you now? I was like, I don't know. Half the time I don't remember my name. So, but they're great. And both of them, they love my daughter. My oldest plays volleyball. She's played basketball. She was doing track for a little bit too. But she's backed off a little bit. And I think she's going to focus, try to decide, which one she wants to play. I think she's leaning towards basketball. My second daughter, she plays soccer and basketball. So she loves both, but I think she's also leaning towards basketball. So I'm excited to see where it goes. I said, I'm telling everybody, this is my retirement plan, all this money that I'm investing in travel basketball. I needed to come back on me.
Right.
So,
Right. You need a return on investment.
I need a return. That ROI, please make it good. But no, it's great. I enjoy seeing. I've been really enjoying seeing them grow, and they have really good coaches, which I appreciate. Because you can get some bad ones in that AAU circle. You have to be very careful, who you surround your kids with. And I'm very diligent in doing my homework and making sure they're around good people that are going to care about them and really looking out for their best interests. So I'm hopeful. I'm excited, and then they're smart too. So let me say that. I was blessed with smart children. I told them they get it from their daddy. Their mom was doing okay, but my husband was very smart as well. And so, both either academically or athletically, they're going to be successful, all of my kids. So.
Very much. One of the people in our chat wants to know if you guys have a track team.
We do. We have 19 sports. And yes, we do. We have cross country and track and field.
Tell the audience where Point is.
Yes, we are located in West Point, Georgia. So right off of 85. So I am 30 minutes from Auburn and about an hour from Atlanta. So you're gonna, if you're on 85 going north or south, you're gonna come through Point or pass right by Point, exit 2.
Jaunelle, I wanted to ask you, a lot of schools have like what they call a territory and where they recruit and stuff. Where do you guys recruit a lot of your players? I was looking at your football roster and I see people from Columbus, Georgia, and places around in the state. Is there a particular map or way that you go about recruiting your players?
We have athletes from all over, and we have a high population of international student athletes as well in our sports. So we're not limited. And where we recruit, we are primarily, I guess, if I had to say a certain region or area, probably the Southeast is what we're primarily recruiting. But we have students from California. We've got students from Minnesota. I mean, they literally are coming from all over. And I can't remember, I want to say maybe it's like 11 or 12 countries are represented at our institution as well. So we'll take anybody that, if you're good, we'll take you.
And what's your student population there?
So our in-person on campus population is heavy student athlete. We're pretty much running the show around here. So we're about 400, a little over 400 for our on campus. But when you look at the entire university as a whole, I think we're about 2,400 because our online population is very high as well.
Okay.
Right. And you mentioned you have 19 sports there. How many of those are women's sports?
Oh, that's a great question. 8 or 9. So we have women's basketball, we have volleyball, we have women's golf, we have women's tennis, we have flag, we have softball, and we have women's swimming.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, great.
Good. Anything else from anybody? Jaunelle, is there anything you'd like to mention that we haven't asked you?
No, I don't think so. Again, I have just enjoyed this so much. And I thank you all for giving me some time and space to share with you. And I appreciate what you're doing, what you do for Auburn, what you're doing for the community. It is truly awesome. And anything that I can do or I can help with, please let me know. Would love to get involved, but I have enjoyed this time so much.
And so, can you bring yourself to wear purple and yellow now?
I can. Barbara can appreciate this. I actually have pink in my closet.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's saying a lot.
That's a lot. I took a picture in a pink dress. You know, I spoke at an event in Columbus just last week, and I have my pink dress on. So I look good in all colors. But yes, I can wear any color now. I'm good.
And I say all the time, Jaunelle, pink is just faded red, so it's
faded
okay.
Red, right?
Yeah, it's okay.
Anyway, let me. Do you think that maybe one day, somehow, out there in the future, you'll end up back at Auburn?
You know, from your lips to God's ears, what I'm gonna say. You know, it would be a full circle moment if I was able to return to Auburn. So thankful for just the people that I met. I shared with some people that literally my blood, sweat, and tears is at Auburn University. When people are like, "Are you a fan?" I said, "I'm more than a fan. I'm
right."
And proud to be one. And so, if the right opportunity came forward, I would definitely entertain it, because it would warm my heart to be back on the plains. But I enjoy. They let me come back, and I get to commune, and whether it's through Delta or it's through the athletic department, I get back on campus pretty often, and I appreciate that.
Get to come back as athletic director?
Ooh,
yes, that would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Ooh, yeah, ooh, I don't know. I don't know about that one. You got me tickled over here, Thom. You can't throw me off like that. But no, whatever opportunity, you know, like I said, if it was the right one, then I would definitely look into it and entertain it. But we'll see what God has in store.
Barbara, Michael, you got anything else?
Just thank you for joining us today. It's been wonderful, Jaunelle, to have you on the show with us.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, Jaunelle, I just want to say thank you so very much. I would like to ask you one quick question in follow-up. What advice would you give to any, not necessarily a young lady, but a young man that want to aspire to become an athletic director, and what role would they have to take? You know, sometimes they have to go the coaching route to get there, and sometimes they do not. Do you have any advice for anybody that may be listening or child that would want to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say relationships. You know, we used to say that it's not what you know, it's who you know. Well, that's changed to now who knows you. And you have to build those relationships to get into it's big, but it's small. And you know, we talk about 6 degrees of separation. I think it's even less than that. But get out there. Don't always look for, am I going to get paid? Am I going to get paid? You know, volunteer. Get to know people. Let them see your work ethic, see your style. There's many opportunities, like you just mentioned, Michael. You know, the coaching route is one. It may be volunteering and working an event, you know, working a competition or a sport or a championship or something like that. There's so many different ways to get involved in athletics, but you've got to be able, you have to get off these phones. You know, you've got to be able to talk and communicate with people and show them what you're all about. So I would say, you know, it's okay to send that email and hope for the best, or go on LinkedIn and just try to connect with people and learn as much as you can learn, and build that toolkit, and you'll get in. But definitely the relationships are going to be key.
I think one thing you said that it's, to me, it's important for younger people in their careers, and that is sometimes you take opportunities that don't necessarily pay you big bucks, or may not pay you at all. But you get the experience, and you build the relationships. And I agree with you 100% on relationships. It's made a big difference in my life, for sure. So you get to learn your craft, and you go from there. Had I not done free acting for a long time, I never would have gotten the opportunity for people to pay me to do it.
Right.
You know. So,
Absolutely. And I often talk about, I'll just add this, the difference between mentors and sponsors. Mentors are extremely important and everyone should have one or a couple of them. But those sponsors are the ones that are going to talk about you when you're not in the room. And I have been very fortunate to have a wonderful circle of sponsors, things that probably have been said that I don't even know about, but I know that I haven't gotten where I am without the help of others. So.
Awesome.
well, thank you very much for being with us and have a wonderful day. And I look forward to maybe meeting you at some point. So
Absolutely. Let's make that happen. And thank you so much again. It's been a pleasure.
Okay.
We're proud of you, Jaunelle.
Thank you.
So my closing comments, or for today, or as I see it, it was Black Alumni Weekend at Auburn. It was good to see some of the alumni that I attended school with over this past weekend. The provost was there, and she's the senior vice president of the university. Vinnie Nathan gave the welcome to the gathering. I saw old friends who had resurrected memories in my head of our time of being pioneers on Auburn's campus. George Smith, who had a hell of a stereo system that we would all gather around because he was the only one that could afford it. We gather around and listen to the top tunes of the day. George also has a great story to tell in that the fact that Auburn used to fly the Confederate flag over the stadium during the games, and at the end of the third quarter, they would take that flag down. And went to take it down one game, and George had taken it down before they could get to it. And according to him, he still has that flag. We were proud of him for doing that. Alums like Linwood Moore, who became the first Black cheerleader at Auburn. The few of us there would always try to support any of us who was trying to get into the mainstream of the university. We would attend the tryouts to support Linwood in his quest to become a cheerleader. And it was obvious on several occasions that Linwood was the best of the tryout lot, but the people responsible for selecting was not quite ready to have Linwood toss a suburban white girl into the air and catch her by her butt. Linwood was persistent, and to avoid Linwood's hands on a white girl's butt, they finally made him the head cheerleader, so he didn't get to throw anybody up in the air and catch them by their butt. Yeah, I was among the small number of Black students who played football, but we also had George Smith and the Confederate flag story to tell, Linwood and the white girl's butt, Cynthia Tucker, who would go on to win the Pulitzer Prize for journalism, and many, many others. Courageous students who wanted an Auburn education and was willing to pave the way for those who came behind them. And that's our show for today. We want to thank the audience. We appreciate you. Thank our G-List guest, Jaunelle White. Thank our sponsor, Best Girl Inc. Thanks again to the TWT team, Barbara, Sean, Emily, and Michael and Joyce. And that's it on this April the 23rd. Remember, a day without a smile is a day wasted. If you've got an extra one, give one to someone else today. Enjoy yourself. Make every day count. Stay safe. Peace.